What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's another edition here of the Friday Fix here on the Flicksation Podcast. My name, Eric Madsen. I'm here at Flicksation Studios, P City, Wisco. It's a Friday Fix. We're talking 1996, so that means you guessed it, the Listman in the house. Al, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, it's really nice to get back on this high horse, especially after the whole COVID crisis. And I really hope that everyone out there is still being safe, wearing your masks. I wear my mask every day now when I go out, everywhere I go. And, I'm kind of getting used to it. So, yeah.
Yep, now that we're wearing them at work full time, which it's been about a month now or so. Definitely used to it. So, yeah, no big issues here anymore. Chad Colt, founder of the Flicksation Podcast, with us this evening. Chad, it's been a while. Always glad to have you back in the air chair.
Yeah, it's like sitting in a comfortable reclining chair. You know, it's like, oh, there's that chair I've been missing. But yeah, it's good to be back. I too am wearing a mask. Of course, I work at a hospital, and it's required. And it's funny. They say, you can breathe in a mask, and I agree. I have no problems breathing, but apparently cloth masks cause me some issues. I've had some issues this year, so I've started wearing surgical masks, and things are a lot better for me. So no problem with the wearing masks. I think it's something you should do. And if you have an issue with a mask, figure out one that works for you. That's my only PSA I got. From here on out, it's all music and movies. So.
All right. So, yeah, taking a quick break from the Flicksation in quarantine and going back to an old episode of the Friday Fix here. Me and Al back again talking another year. Like I said, 1996. This is the year, Chad, of the Nintendo 64 getting released. DVDs first hitting the market in 1996 as well.
I thought it was earlier than 96.
No, actually, just Japan in 1996. U.S. was 1997. But DVDs, just coming into fruition. I had just turned 21 in 1996. Chad, how about you?
I had just turned 18.
All right, so significant all over the place. Al, where were you in 96?
96, I was switching over from middle school to high school.
You innocent young bastard. Back in 1996.
Yep.
So, we're going to be talking about our top 5 albums, our top 5 singles, and top 5 films of 1996. Yeah, so albums, as we usually start the show with. We'll probably go to you first as usual, Al. But, pretty simple rules here on albums. Just has to have been released in 1996. So, strict rule of the year on albums as per usual. Al, any honorable mentions before your top 5?
Yeah, so I just decided that I was going to do 5 honorable mentions for each list here, like I normally do. And boy, I tell you, 1996 really was 2 different things that dominated music to me. It was the alternative / nu metal rock era, bands like Korn and Soundgarden and everything else. And then there was the whole East Coast, West Coast rap feud that was kicking in high gear. And, 96, of course, was the year that Tupac Shakur was murdered in Las Vegas. And he actually died, I believe, on Friday the 13th. So that's a strange omen. But speaking of Tupac, so my first honorable mention is his follow-up. What ended up being it was a follow-up to his freshly released from prison album. This one, I don't know when he recorded all the songs, but he went under the name Machiavelli, and it's the 7 Day Theory. And it's a really strong album in its own right. I also have Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You. And of course, that was their debut, and they became like just one of the biggest bands on the planet.
They pretty much blew up.
Oh, yeah.
For better or worse, but yeah.
Pearl Jam had No Code, which is a kind of a strange album. I think it's better than Vitalogy, but the songs still don't seem to be completely finished. But that's kind of what I like about it. It's very grungy, and of course, Eddie Vedder. I mean, he I don't think anybody has quite the voice that he has. Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire. The guys just mastering the rap rock scene. And then, of course, I mentioned Soundgarden with Down on the Upside, which ended up being their last album for almost, almost 20 years until they finally came back in 2012 with Animal Kingdom, I believe.
Yeah. I'm a little mixed on that album as a Soundgarden album, but it's still solid. Definitely some solid cuts on Down on the Upside.
Yeah, and I kind of like that they were kind of mixing in sort of the lighter songs with heavier songs. I mean, it wasn't as crunchy as Super Unknown was.
All right, Al, your top 5 albums of 96.
Okay, so at number 5, this guy scared the shit out of me when I was 14. Marilyn Manson, exactly. Chad knows.
I had a feeling.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw those music videos, and I thought, is this guy a devil worshiper? What's going on here? Yeah, Antichrist Superstar. Absolutely amazing album. Now, number 4, I mentioned it earlier. It's Tupac, the one that he released, his double album that he released with Suge Knight, Death Row Records, All Eyes on Me. I honestly think it's a little bloated, like we had talked about before with Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. But I think most of the songs on there are just so listenable. And just his tone and his voice is just impeccable. At number 3, I have Sublime. And, the thing is, and I hate this because, like, with Tupac, just like with Sublime, Brad Noel, I got into their music and then realized they were dead. And I'm like, shit. So Brad Noel, of course, had died of a heroin overdose in 1996. So I'm like, well, I guess this is it. So we have this album. And then I went back and I listened to 40 Ounces to Freedom, Robin the Hood. Decided, oh, yeah, Sublime. Hell yeah, they're great.
Sublime never hit for me, but for some reason 311 works for me. Is that weird?
Wow, that's interesting. That is weird.
That is interesting.
I have actually seen 311 live, and they were all right. They played with like Jimmy's Chicken Shack or some weird shit. I don't know. I don't know why I was at the concert, to be honest, but
yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, and I also like bands that are only 3-piece bands. Like you just have guitar player, singer, bass player, and drummer. That's all you need.
I think that's fun.
I mean, like
3-piece. Gotcha.
Yep. At number 2, it was Metallica's return with Load after they took 5 years off. Well, technically they were touring the Black Album for like 3 or 4 of that years. I know a lot of people didn't like Load. I just think it's amazing. And I remember they had cut their hair and everybody was pissed off about it. They're like, what the hell happened to Metallica? Where's the edge? And I remember like Lane Staley, I think, it was Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains, was like, he put on his guitar, he said, friends don't let friends get friends' haircuts.
I don't know if you remember Jerry Cantrell's short hair years, but those were pretty funny.
Yeah.
Definitely looked like somebody's dad.
I've got his solo Boggy Depot album. It's all right. I like it.
Awesome. Yeah, Jerry Cantrell, hell of a musician. And then number 1. So, yeah, I mean, I am so curious if you guys have this. Tool, Enema. I mean, of course it's Tool, Enema. I mean, even the CD case itself having, like, it's not quite a 3D image, but, it moves. Just absolutely amazing. And, I mean, they're arguably the actual best band of the 90s.
Spoiler alert, since you were wondering, that is my number 1, and we'll talk about that more when we get there. But just Remember how you say the name, because I want to have some conversation about that.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so I have 3 honorable mentions here before my top 5. No Code, Al, you mentioned it right there. The first, very different Pearl Jam album. But yeah, I like it a lot. Weezer's second album, Pinkerton, which got critically hacked at first, and then now it's definitely a fan favorite. So, and here it is, guys, Enema in my honorable mentions here.
Ooh, wow.
So I love Tool. I don't know, Enema. It's good, but there's like 2 other albums I like a lot more, including Undertow. So yeah, we'll get into it later. But Enema in my honorable mentions. All right, so my number 5, a live 2-disc album from one of my favorite bands, Oingo Boingo. This was their farewell live show. They played on Halloween in LA or something. Did a 2-disc show. Fantastic show. Great 2-disc album, and they've never been heard from since. So Danny Elfman and Oingo Boingo's Farewell, my number 5. Number 4, another band I love quite a bit. My friends Typo Negative, with my favorite album of theirs, October Rust, coming in at number 4 for me. Number 3, yeah, this was the alternative heyday for me on these days, 21 years old. Loved this album from the first time I heard the first song on the radio. Shadowboxer, but Fiona Apple's debut album, Tidal, my number 3. Number 2, you knew this was going to be on there. A country album of sorts, Al. Can you believe it? No, but the minister would actually agree with this one. Probably not, maybe not at number 2, but one of my favorite bands, Ween, their 12 Golden Country Greats album. Fantastic disc. Fire it up, it's great. And number 1, another one of my favorite bands. Nobody listening to this is going to give a shit about it, but Shot by the Jesus Lizard. Probably my favorite album from one of my favorite bands. So
That's a great band name, too.
Yep, Shot. And you've seen some of the lead singer's movie work, Al. He's been in some films recently. So we'll talk about that off the air. I'm sure a couple of the films you have seen. So anyway, Chad, we already know number 1. But
I wasn't quite sure how this worked, so I did put together some notable mentions. Now, here's the thing: I gotta say, I put my albums in there in a 1 to 5 order that I'm gonna say, but they're not necessarily all my favorite. The number 1 is definitely my favorite of all, but so here's my notable mentions, and there's some crossover here, possibly on both sides. So anyhow, notable mentions: Marilyn Manson, the Antichrist Superstar.
Hell yeah.
Right there with you, Al. Butthole Surfers, Electric Larryland. Probably the only Butthole Surfers album I really got into. I don't know what it is, but I really like that one. It's got the song Pepper on it. What?
So this is not a remake of Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland?
Electric Larryland.
Oh, Larryland.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Pearl Jam's No Code. I really enjoyed that album. I should say that all the albums that I'm listing here and on my 5 I own as well. CDs from probably from back in the day. Counting Crows, Recovering Satellites, Beck's Odelay, and then Metallica Load. And I too enjoyed Load. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite, but I never disliked it like some people did. And I know a guy who got it, listened to it partway in his car and threw it right out the window. And then I think he ended up liking it and buying another copy. But anyhow, that's easy enough. But those are my notable mentions. Some of these could easily fall in the 5. So my 5 are kind of spread around. I tried to pick some different types of music. Number 5 is Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire. 4 is Pantera's The Great Southern Trendkill. 3 is Tupac's All Eyes on Me. I'm right there with you, Al, on Tupac. I think you read that at 4, didn't you? 4?
Yep. Yep.
And 2, also with you, you probably had this at 3, was Sublime Sublime.
Wow.
And then Tool, I'm going to say Anima, because here's the thing. If you look at the name of the album, it's spelled with an I. And if you look at the name of the song, that's like after the album, it's spelled with an E. So I don't know. I don't know. Let's let the world debate whether it's Anima or Enema. So, but anyhow, if anybody's curious, if you ever want to do the AE on your keyboard, hold down the Alt key and press 146, and you'll do the AE. So something else I learned back in 1996 because I was obsessed. And so so go up Alt 146. So I've known that since 96. And that's my list, gentlemen.
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
So Anima. Yeah, I can see it being Anima.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's right or wrong, but that's just the way I've always said it. So, and I want to say something. My number 1 that I'm going to say for all these, all have something in common. So, all the way down to the movie. So I'll just throw that out there.
Well, Chad, I have to ask you then. Okay, what do you think of the little interludes that aren't like full actual songs?
I don't mind them at all.
Okay, so like Dire Von Satan and all that kind of stuff.
I could say every single lyric to that almost in German, and that's
wow.
And Dire Von Satan is the eggs of Satan, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, message to Harry Man back. Yeah, I'm fine. They do a lot of that throughout other albums as well. I don't know if you listen to the latest and greatest, but if you bought the digital version, you got like 4 songs that weren't on the regular release, and they're all just instrumentals. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So like Chocolate Chip Trip, and then a couple other ones. I'm forgetting the name right now, but yeah.
Yeah, Fear Inoculum it took me a little while to get that album.
But it's great.
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, now I get it. Because because I was comparing it to Perfect Circle's latest, and
you can't really compare anything a Perfect Circle does with this, or even Pussifer. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to singles, gentlemen. So the rule here is it can either be a song from any album released in 1996. Or something that from an earlier album that actually charted sometime during 1996. Just on the charts somewhere or on an album from that year. So, Al, your 5 honorable mentions for singles.
Okay. So I have 4 rock songs and 1 rap for my honorable mentions. And I just put them in alphabetical order. So I have Metallica's Bleeding Me, which, it's a slow burn, but once they get that one going, holy shit, it's amazing. It's a little bit like Stairway to Heaven, and I'm not saying it's that good, but I'm saying it's just kind of that kind of slow burn. Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine, and Tom Morello is a genius, and I think he actually graduated from Harvard, and the way he does the guitar solo where he's just taking the pick, and I think all he's really doing is going up and down the string. He's manipulating it the way that Eddie Van Halen used to do that with the finger picking and all that kind of stuff. Just amazing. 46M2 by Tool. And it'd be interesting to know what that title actually means, especially because he spells out 46 and then 2 is just the number 2, but just incredible song. A Long December by Counting Crows. I just love sort of the bluesiness of it. And then, of course, I forget what the lead singer's name is, but he's got a great voice. And then Machiavelli, To Live and Die in L.A., which it's just kind of almost like a soulful rap song. And I kind of like that. So, yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Top 5, Al. Top 5.
Okay, so I'm going to go right back to Tool, and I'm going to pronounce it, Chad, how you have it. So, Anima, that song.
Mix it up. I like it.
Yep. I keep going back and forth. What is the better song, 46 and 2 or Anima? I think I like Anima because it's got, you know, that whole apocalyptic lyrics to it, and you know, watching the world drown and California falling into the ocean and everything. I'm like, damn, that's some serious shit right there. At number four, I have Pawn Shop by Sublime. That is probably one of the best stoner songs I've ever heard. And I don't even smoke pot, but like, I can't even imagine how good that song is if you're high as a kite. You know, just the slow, rhythmic, you know, down there at the pawn shop. Just fantastic. Number three, The Beautiful People, Marilyn Manson. I mean, you hear that, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so in right now. Number two, we heard this song in Lady Bird, and I'm like, oh yeah, that one, Dave Matthews Crash. I mean, I know it's way overplayed now, but it's still brilliant.
It was way overplayed then too, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And number one is actually Tupac and Dr. Dre, California Love. It's probably my favorite rap song of all time. I know just about
a quality choice.
Oh yeah, all the lyrics. And just that was the last time to me that rap was like really good. And then it just kind of started going downhill. Now I'm so sorry, Christian. I know you're a huge rap fan, but I'll challenge you on that. And I know you can say Kanye West and Talib Kweli and some of those guys, but I don't know, man. The mid '90s, yeah, Kanye West, yeah. Oh, man, what a joke. But yeah, that's my list.
All right. So yeah, as I say, typically on here, 90s alternative is my favorite stuff. My entire list of songs here can fit into that. My number one is an arguable one outside of that box, but I think some people might even group that in with these two. But honorable mentions, a couple of them: Stabbing Westwards, Shame, The Cranberries' Free to Decide, Band Tonic with that song Open Up Your Eyes, and Space Hog, a band I've seen a couple of times live, opening for other bands in the meantime. All those pretty big hits in 1996. So my number 5 single, Standing Outside a Broken Phone Booth with Money in My Hand by the Primitive Radio Gods. Truly a 90s alternative classic cut. An underrated band that probably should have amounted to more than they actually did. But even if you don't know any of their other work, this is a fantastic classic cut for sure. Number 4, Soundgarden, Burden in My Hand. Definitely a tune I loved in 1996 on that album. Number 3, from a band called Folk Implosion. Probably another song, if you just heard the intro riff, you'd know what it was. This one called Natural One. It's actually from the Kids soundtrack, from that movie Kids with Rosario Dawson. So Natural One from Folk Implosion.
I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs. Sorry, that's all I think of when I see that. The guy on the... Yeah. When I think of that movie. The guy on the skateboard.
Yeah, that's a crazy film. Number 2, 1979, The Pumpkins. Great tune. Love those albums. And a huge crossover hit as well. So 1979 and number 1, guys. Throwing you a bone here, I guess. Oddly enough, maybe my favorite Tool song ever. Not my favorite album, but this may be my favorite Tool song. Eulogy. My number 1 tune from 1996. Wow. Chad, what you got?
Well, we'll start out with the notable mentions. I only have 2. There's probably a ton more, but I was putting together this list, and I think I just said, you know, I didn't know if you guys did notable mentions or what. So, notable mentions: Blues Travelers, Hook. I always loved that song. In fact, I just think they're highly talented. it may not be always my kind of music, but I just think they're highly talented. The other notable mention is Garbage, Stupid Girl. Overall, they're a pretty awesome band, and it's got Bruce. Is it Bruce Vig? Okay, I can't think of this. Butch Vig. I don't know why I was thinking. I don't think I was. I don't know why I was thinking Bruce, but Butch Vig, who, as we all know, helped Nirvana, skyrocket, and he's highly influenceable in highly influencing person in the whole Madison, rock scene and everything else. He's actually from Viroqua, which is where I grew up camping, like right by there. In fact, our very first podcast episode that we recorded, well, not the first one we actually recorded, but the first one for our first episode, we had done a couple test episodes. We had to watch, I believe, Thor, and I was camping and I went into Viroqua to see Thor. Yeah. So anyhow,
wow.
That was a little bit of a little segue there, but yeah, I don't know. Garbage, Stupid Girl. So
great
onto
album,
the songs.
by the way.
Yeah.
Which was actually 95. Otherwise,
95. Yeah, I got several 95 releases that were charting in 96 on here. But I also have Counting Crows, A Long December. That's off of the Recovering Satellites album, which I did have in my notable mentions. I didn't even realize I'd put that one on there. The other next one, I'm right there with you, Eric, on the Smashing Pumpkins, 1979. Unlike you, I was never a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan. I don't know what it was about them. Was it the Siamese Dream or whatever? A lot of their stuff didn't really, I don't know, never spoke to me, but I've always liked 1979. I don't know if it's about the slow melodies it's got or what, but number 3 is Beck's Where It's At, 2 turntables and a microphone. And the part of the reason I put that one on there is my kid, my son Connor, just loves the song. We'll be in the car, like, yeah, put on Where It's At. So all right, let's listen.
Hey, Chad, do you remember Can't Hardly Wait?
Yeah.
The movie, the two rapper guys, like Seth Green's friends, they're like at that turntable and they're like two turntables and a microphone.
I don't recall that, but I remember the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Number 2 is Foo Fighters, Big Me, 95 release.
Nice.
That's another almost Nirvana tie-in there with Dave Grohl and whatnot. That whole album I love, and I like most of the Foo Fighters stuff actually. Sometimes it's hit and miss for me, but I guess if there's one decent thing that came out of when Kurt Cobain passed away is the fact that we got the Foo Fighters, and I'm happy for that. I still wish they were around.
100%, yeah.
I still wish that they could be, he was here and they could still be making music, but Foo Fighters is great. And of course, number 1 is Tool, and I'm right there with you, Eric. It's Eulogy.
Oh, Eulogy.
Yep. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is Eulogy. It's probably my favorite track off the album. Even the first 2 minutes and 4 seconds or whatever is where you just hear and it amps up and ramps up and ramps up. But I mean, for a while I was like, does it have to chart? Because I don't know if that one charted. I think then the only ones that charted was Stinkfist. In fact, I think they won some serious awards for Stinkfist. But yeah, I mean, Enema, I love that song. I mean, the list goes on and on in that album. So yeah, that's my thing. So now number 1 for album was Enema. Number 2 for song, or number 1 for song was Eulogy. So now you guys will have to figure out what my number 1 movie is and how it plays into this.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about movies here. So I like to always take a look at what the actual top 10 was for that year, and I had it a second ago. Where is it? All right, guys, so the top 10 money winners for films. We're getting up there in gross revenue now. This is worldwide. Overall, coming in at less than $1 billion, down at $817 million. Number 1, Independence Day in 1996. Number 2, Twister. Number 3, the first Mission Impossible. Number 4, The Rock. Little Cage, Connery action there. Number 5, The Hunchback. Number 6, 101 Dalmatians. 7, Ransom. Number 8, The Nutty Professor. Number 9, Jerry Maguire. And 10, Arnie Schwarzenegger in Erasure. So those are your top 10 films. We got The English Patient pretty much cleaning up. Frances McDormand winning for Fargo that year. Jeffrey Rush winning for Shine. Cuba Gooding Jr. winning that year as well for Jerry Maguire, of course. So kind of a weird year, and I'll get to what's weird about it when it's my turn. But yeah, 1996 in film, Al. What'd you think looking back on it, and what are your honorable mentions?
So 96, it's not bad. I mean, looking back now, a lot of these movies are not that rewatchable. They were okay back when you first watched them. I mean, but the ones that stick out are really good. They're like all-timers. So that's kind of how I feel. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just like, whoa, really? That one? But that's part of it is it was sandwiched in between two like all-time years with 95 and 97. So you get what you get. But so my 5 honorable mentions, I have From Dusk Till Dawn, which, wow. I mean, is that not like the best bar movie of all time? Especially the part when they drive up and you got is it Cheech Marin talking about all the pussy inside?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's hilarious. I love that. Happy Gilmore, one of the truly good Adam Sandler movies. And the super tall guy who played Jaws in James Bond as his boss, and he's got like a nail sticking out of his head. Just hilarious. Mission Impossible. I hated the second one. Thought the third one was all right, but the first one is basically a classic. In that drop-in scene at the CIA headquarters where he can't make a sound. Oh, my heart still races every time. Swingers, you're so money. You're just so money, and you don't even know it. Jon Favreau was actually skinny in that movie. It's incredible.
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Vegas, baby. Yeah. By the way, the best scene in that movie is maybe the most cringeworthy scene of the 90s, which is when he calls that woman that he got the phone number from. And he's like, he kept getting the answering machine. And like, so he's trying to break up with her as he's still calling her. And eventually she picks up. He's like, oh, you're there. Hi. Did you just come in? And she goes, don't ever call me again. I fucking love that. And Twister, of course, because, you got to have a tornado movie somewhere on your honorable mentions.
Or you got to at least have Bill Paxton somewhere in your honorable mentions.
Absolutely. Bill Paxton is
Helen
the
Hunt,
shit.
too, not bad.
Oh, yeah. And hell, that was before she was in that As Good As It Gets movie.
Yeah.
So I think I actually like her better in Twister, which may be controversial to say now, but
Don't forget, she was also in Castaway. She went and married somebody else.
That's right. Yeah, she married her, anesthesiologist or whatever he was.
Something like that.
But I can't recall the name of that film. Maybe you can off the top of your head, Al. But she was really good a few years ago in that one with John Hawkes where he was in like the Iron Lung.
Yeah, I think it's called The Sessions.
The Sessions. Yep, that's what it's called. Yeah, she was really good in that. So.
Yeah, John Hawkes. Love that guy.
Yeah, all the time. Top 5, Al. Top 5 films.
All right. So at number 5, this is when Tim Burton was just hamming it up. Get Jim Brown and having him punch people. Mars Attacks. Yeah. Absolutely.
have him punch people next to Tom Jones.
That's right. Oh, God. It's so good. Yeah. I love it.
Hilarious movie.
At number 4, Jerry Maguire. Tom Cruise was killing it in '96. I mean, with Mission Impossible and then Jerry Maguire, holy shit. And then that's basically our introduction to Renee Zellweger. And I love that moment where she's like, I love him for the man he almost is. That's just so brilliant.
And this was the Oscar year, or like last year or whatever. She finally got the Oscar, right?
Yep, for Judy, playing Judy Garland. Which, but she had already won her Oscar for supporting actress, I believe, for Cold Mountain, which is a terrible movie.
Never saw it.
Yeah,
Jude Law, is that who's in that?
Yeah. And I know, right? It's shocking. Like, what? I live in Minnesota. How could I only put Fargo at number 3? Well, Fargo, I think, is definitely the best movie that came out that year. And I fucking love that movie, Where's Pancake House? Need to go back to Pancake House. But the other two, I just over the years, I've just loved more. And number 2, I have Scream. Because, that cast in Scream and the meta-ness of it, like the winking at the camera and all that stuff. And Matthew Lillard just completely over the top. I mean, Matthew Lillard is channeling Jim Carrey in that movie. And Ghostface I love Ghostface. And number 1 probably isn't that big a surprise, but it's Independence Day. I mean, it's Independence Day. Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, cigars, fireworks, aliens. Hell yeah.
All right, settle down there, Al. Settle down. That probably would have been Ian Nichols, number 1 of that year. So, all right, my honorable mention. So, 1996. What a weird year for what shakes out here for my favorite films. I had a pretty good sized list. I was, after Chad had kind of poo-pooed the year when you were kind of talking to me at one point a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. So, but I actually came up with a pretty good load of stuff I wouldn't mind having on this top 5. A lot of it comedy. Tons of comedies on here. And even my top 5, 3 are straight comedies, but even though they're not straight comedies, you could put all 5 of these into the comedies. But let's look at honorable mentions here from 1996. Right at the beginning of the year, we got 12 Monkeys, which was a film I haven't seen in a while, but I used to love Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys back in the day. Stupid comedy, but I will watch it any day of the week. Biodome, guys. Pauly Shore and Stephen Baldwin. Great stuff.
Oh, man.
Sean Penn in Dead Man Walking. Big fan of that one. Bottle Rocket, Wes Anderson's debut film, I believe, in 96. The Kids in the Hall, their film called Brain Candy was 96. Another guilty pleasure film, Celtic Pride. Damon Wayans is a Boston Celtic and gets kidnapped by Dan Aykroyd and I think Daniel Stern, right? So,
yeah, Daniel Stern.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Probably my favorite Kevin Costner film, oddly enough, Tin Cup. Him and Cheech and Don Johnson, just good stuff. Scream in my honorable mentions, Al, as well as gotta have it in there somewhere, Beavis and Butthead Do America. So,
slots.
That's in my honorable mentions. Here are my top 5, guys, and crazy stuff. But it's the one film of his that I love. I've seen it 1,000 times. I quote it not as much as I used to, but I still love Happy Gilmore. So that's my Sandler guilty pleasure at number 5. Number 4, another movie I will watch. I've seen 100 times and would watch any day as well. Kingpin, Randy Quaid and Woody Harrelson, the bowling film. Great stuff there. Hilarious. Mars Attacks fits into my number 3 slot from that
Yes.
year. Love that film. Maybe, well, not my favorite Tim Burton, but very, very close. It's in the top 3 or 4 for sure. Mars Attacks, just so funny, so inventive, great cast.
And the yodeling.
Yeah, Slim Whitman, guys. Slim Whitman. Number 2 is where Fargo goes. Should have won Best Picture. I'm not saying I don't like The English Patient, but does not have the lasting effect on the world that Fargo certainly did. Number 1, one of my top 10 films of all time. Jim Jarmusch, Johnny Depp, Dead Man. Talked about Dead Man 1,000 times on the podcast. Johnny Depp Western from Jim Jarmusch. Neil Young score, where he famously Jarmusch locked him in a studio with his guitar with the movie on 4 screens. So the movie was playing on all 4 walls. And Neil Young just sat with his guitar and made the score in that booth that day. So it's a fantastic score too. It fits the film perfectly. Wow. So
that's amazing.
If you guys haven't seen Dead Man, yeah, lots of great people in it as well. Iggy Pop, Crispin Glover. I think it's John Hudson's last performance on film before he passed away a couple months after the release of this film. So Gabriel Byrne, lots of big name guys in this, and it's just fantastic. My favorite Jarmusch film for sure, but yeah, it's in my top 10 films of all time, no doubt about it. Dead Man, my number 1. Chad, notable mentions.
So the notable mentions I got starts out with one that's already been mentioned, Swingers, Vegas, Baby Vegas. Number 2 is The People versus Larry Flint.
Oh, yeah.
Can't talk. Little Woody Harrelson for you, right? Is it Woody that plays in that?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I think so, yeah.
It's been so long
Woody
since I've seen it, but I remember
Love.
So.
Courtney Love. Huh.
Courtney Love, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, whatever. Anyhow, and Happy Gilmore. Yeah, it's already been mentioned, I believe, by both. Yeah, it's hard to not bring that one in somewhere along the line here. So those are my notable mentions.
I hate that Bob Barker.
Now, before
the price is wrong, bitch.
Before I get into my notable mentions, I'm going to bring up a new segment for you guys, and I just came up with this when I put my list together. It's called "What the Fuck? I Didn't Know These Existed." So it's just 2 of them, but the first one's a very Brady sequel.
Oh yeah. My God!
You didn't know that existed?
I think I did know it existed, but I was surprised to see it, and I went, 96, a very Brady sequel.
Well, you didn't see the movie. You didn't know it existed, so you don't remember.
I mean, I knew it existed, but yeah, it's still, I did not expect to see it when I was the other one, though, that I'm really not sure I knew this one existed. Maybe not quite as funny as a very Brady sequel, but Lawnmower Man 2, Beyond Cyberspace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lawnmower Man 1 is bad.
Yeah, I remember enjoying it as a kid, but yeah, it doesn't mean it's good. But yeah, Job or whatever, and so yeah, those are the only 2 I had. I saw them. I thought, wow, just pouring through movies, and that's what I saw. So anyhow, my 5 here they are. I don't know that. I mean, I just heard something from you guys. I'm like, wow, how did I not have that on my list? But this is what I got. This is what I'm going with. Number 5, The Rock. Welcome to The Rock. Yeah, it's there's not many Nicolas Cage movies that I can say that I even really enjoy, and even one of like his probably better ones, like what was the first one, Raising Arizona? Like I was never a fan of the movie, but at least I felt like he was doing some decent acting in that and whatnot. But yeah, The Rock. Number 4 is Independence Day. I remember really loving this movie, in that time frame. For whatever reason, I just liked Independence Day, and to be fully and completely honest, I've never seen Independence Day 2. Independence Day, made by the same people that made the original Stargate movie. So like, I definitely have a respect for them, but yeah, I just didn't have any inkling to see Independence Day 2, but Independence Day makes the list. Number 3 is not the wall choice. Yeah, comedy. And yeah, let's see what you guys think of it. But number 3, Multiplicity.
Oh,
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, he plays like, 6 versions of himself or whatever. And yeah, it's a movie that I really should revisit. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Number 2, let's see if either of you know what the tie-in is, but number 2 has a Stargate tie-in. It's Train Spotting.
Oh yeah, that baby scene kills me every time.
Oh yeah, but it's got Robert Carlyle's in it, and he's in Stargate Universe. He plays Dr. Nicholas Rush, and so yeah, that was it was probably, I don't know if it's the world's, but it's definitely my introduction to him as an actor. And yeah, another one I haven't seen, but I really do want to is there. If I believe I'm right, there's a Train Spotting 2. So
yeah,
I really should see it. And now I'm going to go into number 1, but do you guys want to take any guesses to what it is first?
Wow.
And after I name it, I'll let you see. I'll see if either know why it kind of it goes along with the number 1s and the songs and the albums.
Tool. What the hell connects with Tool?
Nothing that I have written down here would be a good
guess.
I
probably isn't. This is one I chose to fit in the spot. Plus, I did enjoy the movie. But is Escape from L.A. Ironically, it's also got a Stargate thing because it's got Kurt Russell in it. And He is the original Jack O'Neill. But that's besides the point. So here's how it fits in. Unless you guys want to guess on that one.
Don't know.
The soundtrack.
Yeah.
The soundtrack contains the song "Sweat," which is track 1 off of their first main release album, Opiate, their first EP. I think it's the first and only time that they have any sort of song. So there's in like a movie thing. So not even quite sure how it happens. I feel like something I should look up and find out, like, how did that happen? Because it seems so anti-Tool to do that, if that makes sense to either of you. But yeah, that's how it fit in with that. So, yeah, definitely not my number 1 movie of the year, but I did enjoy it.
All right, Al. Yeah. So, got something here for you, a little taste of what Jericho sent in for picks from 1996. What do you say, Jericho? Your Muzak, he says. He spells it Muuzak. Apex Twin, Richard D. James, Outcast, Atlians, Lou Reed's Set the Twilight Reeling, the Brian Jonestown Massacres, Their Satanic Majesty's Second Request, DJ Shadow. Introducing honorable mentions are Super Drag, Stereo Lab, Swans for soundtracks for the blind. So that is his Muzak. Movies. Bottle Rocket, Crash, Fargo, Welcome to the Dollhouse, Basquiat. Honorable mentions, Kids in the Hall's Brain Candy, I Shot Andy Warhol, and Jericho getting in on Kingpin. I didn't know that one hit for Jericho, but could be Bill Murray's hair in that one. I don't know.
Probably.
Oh, that film is so good. All right, guys. So, yeah, that's 1996.
Wow.
What a year. What a year. 21, I barely remember it. Pretty much near the end of my drinking days. Or at least, getting drunk in bars days. Yeah. 21, 22, that was about it. Probably drank more between 18 and 20 than I did after I was legal, honestly.
It was probably my last year working summer times at the old Family Land.
Yeah, I was wondering when I was putting this shit together if that we would have been there at this time, Chad. Probably not.
I know, I'm pretty sure. I mean, my first year was 93 there, and 3 and 4 and 5. Those are 4 summers, so that's got to be my last summer, 96.
Yeah, and I probably wasn't there.
You probably weren't there that summer.
So, but it was close. It was 95, we probably had to have been there.
Oh, I bet.
So, yeah. Good times. Not really, but sort of. Yeah. All right, anyway, 1996. Al, what's next, Al? Do we have somebody lined up? I think it's your turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've got some people I could definitely ask. I know there are definitely people out there who are interested. So what I want to do, though, is make sure that whoever I ask, that at the point that when we record, that they won't already have some prior, oh, whoops, I forgot. I actually have to go do this. But yeah, no, there's definitely people I can ask for sure. Yeah. The interesting thing is trying to figure out like what years to do. Are you actually writing these down to make sure that we don't accidentally like redo a year that we've already done?
I have all the episodes in a specific folder, so they all have the year in the title, so it's pretty easy for me to back check that pretty quick. So, but yeah, we've gone through about 10 or 12 at this point, Al. So
if you ever just want a random extra person for this, let me know. It's a lot of fun. So
this is great. Plus, nice to finally actually talk to you, Chad.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Because I remember we were going to try and do this once before, and then Eric was having technical issues.
So you never done an episode with Chad, Al?
We've done.
This is the first time. I thought. Right?
No, this is at least our second or third. You and I did an episode. God, what was I on a while back? It wasn't all that long ago. It wasn't the Christmas episode or anything. Man, I remember you and I were all talking about like toy soldiers and man. I don't know. We'll have to have Eric look it up and get back to us. I know you and I did an episode probably not too long ago.
Okay.
Well, unless it is the technical difficulty one I'm thinking of, I don't know.
Might.
And we didn't. I remember us talking. So, and I remember us having a conversation about having never had done an episode before.
Right.
Yeah. So in the feed shortly after you hear this one, a couple days after this one, I believe will be the release of our Hamilton discussion quarantine special, as Robert Christian and I talk about Disney's Hamilton on Disney Plus. And then the next one after that, I believe, is Total Recall and Kamikaze 1989, a combo discussion of those two films. So revisit the old 1990s version, Schwarzenegger Total Recall, and talk about it. I'm curious to hear what the minister has to say about that one. So those all coming up sometime in the feed shortly after the release of this one. All right. Yeah, good stuff,
wow.
Al. Yeah. Al, thanks for joining us once again. Always glad to have you on, and always love these year episodes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, this was a blast.
Chad, always glad to have you on the show as per usual. You know the chair is always open.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was, I'm always wanting to get on, and then I'm always like, shit, how am I going to get all that in? And then, to be quite honest, I just need to force myself to sit on and watch more movies and just bring in more content. I'm too busy watching television shows these days because they're quick, they're easy, and I can go to bed. But, yeah.
Don't worry, Chad. I'm looking forward to, 7 to 8 years from now when it's you, me, the minister, and Robert back together on a regular basis. Once our kids can deal with themselves, sort of. So, looking forward to it, Chad, and maybe we'll be going to theaters again by then. Who knows?
Maybe, and unless, of course, you win that lotto beforehand, because we're opening the movie theater and we're just going to do podcasts for a living. So,
I'm not even going to do the movie theater thing anymore. I'll build myself a movie theater.
Well, that works. I'll just come over and the beer will be cheap. So
no, we'll just be podcasting, TV shows, movies, whatever. We'll just do an episode a day. Why the hell not?
Why not? Yeah.
We'll do that Stargate pod, Chad.
All right.
Go through all that stuff.
That would take a long time.
All right, guys. Yeah, my name, Eric Madsen, Hazer75 on Twitter. Chad, you're still out there on the Twitterverse.
Yeah, you can still find me at Pratil, Pratil. I've also got the Bookhouse podcast one, which is at TP Bookhouse. So if you're interested in the Bookhouse or Watchmen, keep an eye out for that, because we always are talking about getting back into the studio and recording for that as well. Maybe doing some follow-up videos or something. But yeah, those are my two main places.
And Al, are you back on the Twitterverse as well?
Yeah, I'm kind of just concentrating on movies and not giving a shit what, just trying to have as much fun with it as I can. And but yeah, I'm back on there, and I just changed my @ again, so you can find me back at alrob_1982, which I believe was the one I had on my previous account. So
yeah, that's the one I remember the best.
Yeah, I should be easy to find.
All right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Friday Fix. We'll see you soon with some more quarantine specials. Until then, this is Eric for Chad and Al, the Listman Robinson, saying we'll catch you on the flick side.